Welcome back. Unfortunately, losing a family member or friend is never easy, and oftentimes people don't want to talk about death and dying.
The Henrico County Public Library is hosting a series of informative and guided discussions on this topic. Kara Rothman from the library is here, along with Elaine Cameron Miles, a spiritual and bereavement counselor, and we welcome both of them to Virginia this morning. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Tough topic. Nobody likes to talk about this, but as we say, ain't nobody getting out alive. So we're all going to have to deal with this sooner or later. So where do you even start with this?
Well, I really like to start with people's curiosity, and because these death cafes are very participant-led, and so we start where people have questions, and so we open up the floor and I introduce myself and my work, and then I start asking people, you know, what questions do you have?
Before you go too much further, you said Death
Yeah,
Cafe, and we hadn't talked about that, so I got a question about that, because I ain't eating there. What is a Death Cafe?
Well, a death cafe is a new term for a very old concept. It's something I've been doing for 20 years, but it has recently been popularized, which is terrific, across the country and internationally, where it's an opportunity for people to get together in a non-crisis moment to talk about death and dying.
You know, having lost a sister and a father and a very good friend, the first you do not want to talk. You want to lay on your couch. You want to wallow in your own misery. And I don't think it's misery. You're depressed. You're sad. The last thing you want to do is talk about it. So how do you get people out of that to get to that point?
Well, I think I'm not what anybody expects. You know, when they come in to talk about death and dying, they don't expect a happy, upbeat person to say, hey, let's talk about death. And I think that kind of makes them realize we're going to be doing something different here. Because really, if you talk about death and dying, you get to appreciate life more. If you can get over the hurdle of the fear and move beyond that, then you can do planning, you can be better connected to your loved ones, and you can get beyond that fear into that it's just part of life.
Kara, how did the library get involved in all of this?
Well, Elaine actually works with our mobile library service in a really amazing program called River of Life in our senior centers. And Gina Fuller, who is the supervisor of the mobile library, just approached Elaine and said, this is going so well. What else, how else can we bring this to our patrons?
So what are, you mentioned you get them in to start talking. What are some of the things that you do at the Death Cafes?
We first put people at ease. The whole idea of Death Cafe is there's food. So, Bill, you'd actually like it quite a bit. And it's free food. Yeah. So we put people at ease by having them have something to eat. And then we sit down and I sort of prime the pump. I work for Hospice of Virginia, and so I tell them a little bit about hospice because there's so many misconceptions about hospice. So I tell them about that and kick it off that way. And then I offer sort of a smorgasbord of things to choose from that we can talk about next. And the thing is, people come with something they want to ask, and as soon as they feel comfortable, they just bubble right up and ask it. And so we never have any trouble filling the time. We always have trouble ending on time.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
And because I've dealt with this recently as well, and my question is, and you know, we've all lost people over the years. Somebody was asking me, well, how do we explain this to a child that granddad was here yesterday and he's gone today? And I was kind of at a loss because I don't understand it, because it's like, it's not real. You know, you spend 40 years with somebody in your life and then the next day they're gone, maybe sometimes suddenly. It is, I mean, I can't even imagine how to explain it to a child because I'm not sure I understand it.
Well, I think that's such a good question, but I think children have a better concept of it than we do because they understand that people are physically gone and yet they're so fully with us that they're not totally gone. So going on the child's mindset and talking to them where they are, because what you'll find is when you tell a child, they'll take it hard for literally about 5 minutes. And then they've got things to do. There are Barbies to be played with, there are trucks to roll in the grass, but then they come back to you. And so maybe 2 weeks later, maybe 2 days later, they want to talk about it again. and it bubbles up very naturally for them. We as adults feel like we have to sit with death and be the same even grief. And you know from your experiences that grief is up and down and changing all the time. But one thing that we tell children is, as long as you're alive, that grandparent is alive in you. And so that will always be with you.
Very good stuff.
I was going to say, I learned something, you grieve, but grieve among the living. And so this is sort of what you're trying to teach people there.
Yeah, and we also do nuts and bolts stuff. You know, we talk about advanced medical directives. We talk about planning your own funeral. We talk about obituaries. We talk about health insurance. We talk about
practical
anything.
stuff that you have to do.
Anything people want to
Well,
talk
thanks
about.
to the library for getting involved with this, and it's been very informative and very enlightening for us.
Yeah. All right, so Death Cafes are being held tonight at 7 p.m. at the Libby Hill Library, and again Monday, November 14th at 7 p.m. at the Fairfield Area Library. WTVR.com/VTM is the place you can get all the information, a link to that information as well.